The radical left is officially turning on its own poster child, and Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez is finding out the hard way that you can't outrun your own record. The AOC backpedal has hit a massive brick wall, and CNN's Scott Jennings just delivered an absolute masterclass in calling out far-left political rebranding. Watching progressive activists throw their own superstar under the bus the second she steps an inch toward the center proves just how fragile their entire movement really is. Before we get into it, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe.
Okay, what is Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez up to? The New York Congresswoman making headlines both politically and personally in what seems to be a calculated strategy. First, she told and showed the world that she's freezing her eggs. She's documenting her exercise routines. She says she's not ruling out a presidential run, and she's trying to distance herself from the woke era of Democratic politics that have become fodder for the right wing. In an interview, she laughed off that era as crazy, saying that the policy debates were fruitful. Conservatives say she and the left shouldn't be let off the hook that easy. All right, Scott, I'm going to start with you. AOC, I know she's your favorite politician. You're a huge admirer of her. I mean, what do you think her tactic is here? And do you see it being emulated successfully by other Democrats who want to distance themselves perhaps from some of those comments that we've talked about earlier today?
My perception is that other Democrats aren't in the same position as her. And that position is she quite likely is the front runner for president for 2028. I assume it'll either be her or Kamala Harris. She is the heir to the Sanders socialist movement. She is clearly the inspirational leader of that movement. That energy in the Democratic Party is on the move. And that's helpful in some primaries. To be viable in a national general election, you would have to get away from woke one and try to laugh it off, although I don't think that tactic is going to be successful. My suspicion is Harris is going to try to co-opt this lane as well. I know she's already making calls to some of the socialists to try to get in with them. But to me, it's AOC or Harris, and she's far more talented and a much better has a much better understanding of modern communications than Harris does. I would not discount the probability that AOC will be the standard bearer for Democrats in 28.
Lydia, do you think she's formidable? I mean, do you think Republicans would like to run against her or are afraid of running against her?
I think Republicans want to run against Kamala Harris, who has a bad habit of putting her foot in her mouth. I think most recently she said voter ID was a terrible idea because people would have to show who they say they are, and most people responded with, okay. AOC has an ability to dominate the news cycle that I think we've only really seen with Donald Trump. I mean, people have been now obsessed with talking about her egg freezing journey. She's caused a lot of controversy. Conservatives have gone after her. She sort of rage baited and controlled and owned the news cycle. And she comes across as somebody who's very likable, right? Relatable. But I think the issue with the whole woke one is crazy thing and why she's going to have to do more than just laugh it off is she was the one who led this movement, right? I mean, that's like saying, oh, the first, Salem witch trial, it was crazy. No, you have to explain, or is that the woke people say, do the work and explain why you're trying to distance yourself from that. You can't, as a leader, fall prey to something and say, oh, oops, and then be expected to be trusted with responsibility once again. That's not how it works.
Yeah, I mean, we're talking about how conservatives view her, but the comments that we're talking about here, she received criticism from the left, not from the right. That's the story here, is that she was getting attacked by the progressives and the DSA people because she was abandoning what they saw as their platform based on 2020 grievances that she was elected to help repair, that they don't feel that she's delivered on. So she's got more of a problem on the left than a lot of people realize. This is what it is. She understands the territory that she's in, and she's doing what she's navigating best she can, but there's no way she can do it.
But do you think she's a front runner for 28?
No. So
I think she's in the mix for sure. She may be a kingmaker, not a king.
Yeah. So like I think that there's a great deal of audacity for a lot of people. Now, this whole thing about her being a front runner is just absent the reality of what the democratic process is. And so now let me just educate my friends on the panel about what the map is. It's South Carolina, it's New Mexico, it's Nevada, it's Virginia, and it's Michigan. And so the politics of DSA, the politics of the progressive movement are not necessarily something that are going to bode well in those first few states whereby you have to go and talk about the moderate voters that we've just.
But this is what the pivot's about, right?
It is smart for her.
So that's what I'm saying. However, to Scott's point, somewhat, is that it's very difficult to shed your brand right now to run for office. And so her brand is that queen of the progressive movement. And that's what people know her for. And she's going to have to lean into that, because when you get in betwixt and in between, then people start questioning what you stand for. And I think the map is a very real reality for a lot of
Who's the
people.
front runner, Harris?
I will say, though, that I think that if she wants to be a serious contender, she does need to shed these bad policies, because they are bad policies. Defund the police, bad policy. It's radioactive. And so if she means it and is truly authentic with it and voters buy it, then she could be a serious contender. And I'm willing to give her grace that if she truly has seen the light and thinks, okay, this is a bad policy, then I'll do that. Because look, J.D. Vance was someone who said that Trump was America's Hitler, and he went on to be his vice president.
It's not enough to just say, haha, that was crazy, and move on. She's actually going to have to explain some things. What does she think is woke? Is she no longer in favor of children being transitioned, right? Does she think, I mean, there's comments from 2020, teachers union saying the push to open schools is sexist, racist, and misogynist.
But
does she no longer believe that? Does she no
that's
longer
also
believe America's a racist? Like, she's going to have to
That's also
explain.
that's decently fake. So let me explain to you what being woke
I'm
is.
going to bring in a comment, though, from a viewer. MAGA would love to run against a woman in the next presidential election. Reaction. Do you think that's true?
Yeah, I mean, I think.
I think they would, because they have a streak of winning against female candidates.
What does MAGA think?
No, my view is
3 for 3. Yes.
McConnell.
my view is that we want the brightest possible contrast between the people who love America and the people who think it's rotten at the core and think it ought to be ripped out root and branch. She represents this group of people who fundamentally dislike the pillars of American culture, and they want to change it, and we want to run against that. So whether it's her or whether it's, the gender is irrelevant. To me, it is, what is your outlook on American values?
Yeah.
Lydia Moynihan and Scott Jennings were dead on. Calling your past rhetoric crazy isn't an apology, and slapping a new label on failed socialist experiments doesn't erase 6 years of real-world destruction. Which specific policies were wrong? Defunding law enforcement? Open borders? Cashless bail? Abolishing ICE? Give us the specifics, or stop the fake pivot. You don't get to spend years pushing extreme agendas, wrecking local economies, and making American streets dangerous, only to act like woke one was just a minor misunderstanding. Working-class citizens had to live through the actual consequences while AOC built a career on pure social media theater and zero legislative achievements. Now she's completely trapped between furious far-left activists who demand total ideological purity and normal voters who remember every single tweet, vote, and speech on record. Radical socialism might get millions of clicks on TikTok, but it destroys real communities, and the American public is done buying the rebrand. How low has the DNC fallen when a politician with zero track record of real accomplishment is considered their top national prospect? The internet never forgets, and no PR tour on friendly Sunday shows can shield the left when voters demand answers. Put the woke agenda front and center so every American can see the crystal clear contrast between common sense and far-left nonsense. We will never trade constitutional liberty for woke socialism, no matter how many times they try to wrap it in a new package. Thank you so much for watching. Drop a like and leave a comment as well, and subscribe.